Hello and welcome. Guys, take a piece of paper and pen, write things down. This is going to be a comprehensive course on ISFJs. So, they are the nurturers, the defenders, warm people, very nice and caring people. The overview of their cognitive functions. Imagine their brain as a car. There is a driver, there is this seat next to the driver, there is a teenager in the back, and then there is the inferior function, which is a child in the back seat. Everyone has it, but their dominant function is introverted sensing, meaning they store memories and past experiences. Okay, they go by the beaten path. They are they can see details. They are very detail oriented. They can see minute details in actions or in the everyday world. The second function is auxiliary, extroverted feeling. They focus on emotions and the needs of others, meaning they are very accommodating. They focus on harmony. They don't want to upset people. They would prefer to, get hurt, be silent, but they don't like to, disrupt harmony. Tertiary function is introverted thinking, meaning they analyze internally, logically, and seek clarity. They see any discrepancies. They can analyze and understand people, whether someone is reliable, or they have this critical thinking on how to solve problems, how to work with systems, how to basically systematically solve things. Depending on their personal growth, this tertiary function can be very developed, or it can be undeveloped. And the last function, the inferior function, is extroverted intuition. So it is exploring possibilities and connection between ideas. They may not really grasp the concept of the wild conjecture when you try to explain stuff like, for example, conspiracy theory or subliminal messages. They find it hard to generate ideas, focus on the big picture. They can't see the big picture, and they can do it, but it's an inferior function. They don't usually see at the big picture, and they don't plan ahead too much. Next thing, shadow functions, the opposite of primary functions. So shadow functions basically happen when people experience stress. When they are under stress, they can behave in ways that is not them normally. What does it mean? So shadow functions basically the inverse function of their core stacks. For example, it belongs to the same functions but with opposite attitudes. For example, if their dominant function is introverted feeling, shadow function would be extroverted feeling. So if their auxiliary is extroverted thinking, for example, their shadow will be introverted thinking, right? So depending on their personality type. Shadow functions are not developed or not conscious. They go subconsciously, okay? So what makes them appear? Stress or fatigue when individuals are overwhelmed or physically drained. They may behave in ways inconsistent with their core personality. In conflict or criticism, negative feedback can trigger defensive behavior linked to shadow functions. Unfamiliar situations, when forced to act outside the comfort zone, if an introvert is in a highly social place, then shadow function may surface. Emotional overwhelm, when prolonged anxiety, burnt out, or emotional suppression can cause these functions to emerge unpredictably. So the four shadow functions are number one, the opposing role function, which is the fifth function. So when the shadow function of your auxiliary function, so how it arises? When your typical way of supporting yourself is blocked, you may use this function negatively or defensively. So for example, ISFJs secondary function is extroverted feeling, right? Instead of showing empathy, they might withdraw emotionally and act in a dismissive way when they are stressed. The next function is critical parent function, the sixth function. How it arises? It emerges when they are frustrated or criticizing themselves or others harshly. So, the inner critic. For example, when ISFJ's introverted thinking is the tertiary function, they may become hypercritical of others' logic or nitpick details, even though they usually have harmony, right? They can be really controlling and really crazy about stuff. The third function, which is the inferior function, the extroverted intuition, might go as catastrophizing or overthinking possibilities, even though they typically prefer practical solutions. So it shows up in stressful situations when they feel trapped, over leading to mental confusion or irrational behavior. So overthinking possibilities in a negative way, what could go bad and worse, and how can they become scared so much, or you know, brainstorming and thinking of new. But this is an inferior function, and if they do it, it's not conscious, it's subconscious. Okay, the last function is called the demon function, which is the most repressed and unconscious function in the stack. It tends to surface when individuals hit breaking point or feel hopeless. How it arises? It shows up when everything feels out of control, resulting in destructive or self-sabotaging behavior. For example, extroverted sensing. As a demon, they might act impulsively, overspending, or engaging in reckless behavior, which contrasts with their casual, careful, organized nature. Okay, so how you can spot them is when the person behaves out of like is not normally behaving well, right? They are overreacting to criticism, mental fog, confusion, emotional withdrawal, impulsiveness. Those are the signs. So the next thing we want to talk about is their strengths. So they're empathetic caretakers, detail-oriented, exceptional at handling routines and small tasks, reliable and loyal people because they value harmony, they value family traditions, they value they value friendships, they value hierarchy, they respect rules, and they respect traditions, cultures, government, stuff like that. Um, Their weaknesses is that they're very self-sacrificing. They prioritize others at their own expense for harmony. They resist change, intuition, their weakness. They prefer to go by the familiar route than changing. They fear the unknown. Conflict avoidance because of their extroverted feeling, and they struggle with criticism because of they can take stuff personally because they operate by heart. They don't operate on logic, mostly they operate by emotions. So emotional well-being, stress triggers. So what brings them joy is helping others, creating order, maintaining meaningful relationships. What is the stress trigger? Rapid change, unresolved conflict, feeling underappreciated. So if you want to stress ISFJ out, don't say thank you to them. Hang up the call so the conflict is unresolved, and you will stress them out. I'm joking, guys. Never do it. Next, ideal careers for ISFJs. They can be healthcare takers, nurse, therapist, medical assistants, teachers, counselors, librarians, administrative roles, officers, managers, executive assistants, community service, human resources, or other stuff like customer support, nonprofit coordinator. In relationship, they are very loyal, empathetic, and very caring people. So, growth strategies for ISFJs. Embrace the change, right? Step outside practice getting outside the box. Improve your intuition. Express your needs. Communicate boundaries and use your logic more often. Accept feedback. View criticism as tool for growth. However, feel like you can analyze if your boundaries have been compromised or no. Explore possibilities. Engage in activities that challenge extroverted intuition. Common misconceptions about ISFJs. They are overtly shy because they are introverts, so that may be a normal sign. They hate the change, like I said, because they go by the beaten path. They have a strong memory. They follow rules. They don't like passive. They can be very passive. They actively support others and can take initiatives behind the scenes, which is they are not the heroes on the screen, but they go as the camera guy, the cameraman, as the teacher, as a nurturer. They are like the ant, the building ants, right? The soldier ants, not in the main spots. Guys, I hope I cover. This is not everything, but I will see you in part 2.